I used to believe that love meant safety, that when someone chose you, really chose you, they wouldn't stop choosing you. We met in college, grew into adulthood side by side, and I honestly thought that made us unbreakable. We weren't a fairy tale couple, but we were steady. We had routines, traditions, and a quiet kind of loyalty that felt rare. 7 years in, people saw us and assumed we had it figured out. I thought so too. Mornings started with shared silence over coffee. Nights ended with comfort. A hand on my back, the soft weight of trust. We built a life on the little things: shared playlists, takeout rituals, Sunday laundry folded together while watching bad TV. When we fought, it was never brutal. We apologized quickly, laughed it off. I never kept score because it never felt like a game. If anything, I was proud of how easy we were. I told myself this was the kind of love that lasted, boring to some, but sacred to me. Our friends joked that we were already married. We had talked about it, but never rushed. We were building savings, careers, a future. There was a time we mapped out cities we'd move to. We had names for children we hadn't decided to have. He knew my favorite smells, the way I liked my sandwiches, what movie could pull me out of a bad mood. I believed that kind of intimacy only came from deep connection, not convenience. And he wasn't perfect. He forgot dates sometimes, shut down when overwhelmed, left socks everywhere. But I accepted it because love is choosing the same person even when it's not convenient. He supported my dreams, encouraged me when I wanted to change careers. I was there through his layoffs, celebrated every small win. When he got that job he really wanted, I was the first person he called. I still remember the way he grinned as he said, "We did it." Because that's how it felt, like we were always in it together. And maybe that's why I didn't notice when something shifted. It was slow, nothing sharp or dramatic. But before any of that, this was us, steady, known, intimate. I thought we were rare. The kind of couple who didn't need to say everything because it was already understood. I let my guard down completely. I thought I'd found a place I didn't need to question, a person I could trust blindfolded. Looking back now, I see the way I held tight to the comfort. I clung to what we were because I didn't want to imagine it ever changing. It didn't cross my mind that someone could love you for years and still make a choice that undoes everything in minutes. I believed in us so fully that it didn't occur to me that love, even deep love, isn't always enough. And the scariest part is, at that time, I didn't feel scared at all. It started with the little things. He'd come home later than usual, always with a reason that sounded just believable enough. Meetings ran long. Traffic was worse than normal. He was exhausted, distracted, not cruel but distant. Conversations became shorter, less engaged. I'd ask about his day and he'd respond in vague one-liners, eyes glued to his phone. When I tried to reconnect, to plan something for just the two of us, he'd say, "Maybe next weekend," like time with me had become an obligation. I began noticing patterns. He guarded his phone more, turned its screen side down, took calls in the other room. I wasn't looking for reasons not to trust him. I wanted badly to believe it was just work stress. I told myself we all go through rough patches. I tried harder. I left him notes, cooked his favorite meals, initiated small touches to bridge the growing distance. But nothing landed. He'd thank me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, then go back to scrolling or zoning out. One night I caught a glimpse of a message notification that didn't sit right. A heart emoji, a name I didn't recognize. My stomach tightened, but I didn't say anything right away. I needed to be sure. I started paying attention. When he showered longer than usual, when he left for errands that took twice the time they used to. I'd ask where he went, and he'd answer casually, as if I shouldn't need to ask. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that love didn't just slip away without warning, but deep down, a part of me already knew. I was clinging to a version of him that wasn't showing up anymore. Eventually, I brought up the message. I kept my tone calm. I asked who she was. He laughed it off, told me it was nothing. "You're being paranoid," he said. "You're reading into things." I wanted to believe that. I wanted to trust his voice more than the noise in my head. But his dismissiveness didn't ease the ache in my chest. It deepened it. He wasn't trying to reassure me. He was trying to make me feel unreasonable. That's when I realized the shift wasn't just in his actions. It was in the dynamic between us. I was the only one trying to save something. I began second-guessing everything. Was I too controlling? Too sensitive? Was I imagining problems because I was insecure? He wasn't cruel, just emotionally unavailable. But that quiet withdrawal was worse than shouting. It was a kind of abandonment I couldn't name yet. I still made excuses for him, still hoped it was a phase. But the truth was bleeding through. Small inconsistencies, changed passwords, little lies that didn't quite add up. It wasn't just distance anymore, it was deceit. And I felt myself slipping into a version of me I didn't recognize. Quiet, apologetic, waiting for someone to love me the way they used to. I stopped waiting for the truth and started looking for it. Not out of revenge or paranoia, but because I couldn't live in limbo anymore. One morning, his tablet synced accidentally to our shared cloud. A string of messages popped up while he was in the shower. Her name, her words, the way she spoke to him. It confirmed everything I was afraid to say out loud. This wasn't emotional confusion. This was a full-blown affair. They had nicknames, inside jokes, plans. My heart didn't drop the way I expected. It hardened. I read every word, each one pulling the ground out from under me. And yet, there was a calmness in confirmation. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't the problem. When he came out, I asked him directly, not crying, not yelling, just quiet, direct. He paused for a second too long. Then he nodded. No apology, no explanation, just, "I didn't think you'd find out." I asked how long. He said a few months. I asked if he loved her. He didn't answer. I asked why. He just stared at the floor. It was like I didn't exist anymore. I wasn't the person he'd shared years with. I was just an obstacle he forgot to move around. I sat there in silence, absorbing it all. Not the betrayal that I already felt, but the detachment, the cowardice. He wasn't even fighting for what we had. He let it fall apart like it meant nothing. What broke me wasn't the cheating. It was remembering every time I defended him, every time I made excuses, every time I told myself he was just stressed. I carried our relationship on my back while he played pretend, slipping away into someone else's world. I thought about all the memories we'd built, all the trust I'd poured into him. It felt like being erased from my own life. He said he never meant to hurt me, as if that somehow softened the blow, as if that erased the lies, the manipulation, the coldness. I asked him if he was going to end it with her. He shrugged, said he didn't know. That's when I understood that I wasn't the one he was undecided about. He had already made his choice. He was just too weak to say it. I packed what I needed that night, left without drama, without a breakdown. He didn't follow me, didn't stop me, just watched. I left behind the version of myself who waited, who hoped, who tried. I walked out of a home that was never really mine anymore. And as much as it hurt, there was clarity in knowing the worst had already happened. I didn't lose him that night. I'd lost him long before. That was just the moment I finally admitted it.